Oftentimes it is said that intelligence is the bedrock of law enforcement, or to ensure that things do not go out of hand and who's doing what you need to know. And this is something which is part of state policy for centuries, especially in Bharatvarsh, if not across the world. But when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, this perhaps has a whole new dimension. Joining us now is the DG CID, Sri R.R. Swain, who I have to congratulate because he will soon be the DG Jammu and Kashmir. Congratulations, sir. First up, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Sir, my first question to you, 4 years since the abrogation of 370, how have things changed? Because for a large part of it, you have been the ears on the ground. You and your team.
Yes, actually, this is a question which we often put to ourselves also. There are a couple of ways of describing as to how things have changed and to what extent things have changed. May I cite one example?
Sure.
In 2018, we went for Panchayat Raj elections and the urban local bodies. That was a time when nobody was willing to come forward and stand for elections. There are I would say about 6,000 villages in J&K, but for the Jammu province in Kashmir, it was absolutely a tough call, especially in South Kashmir, to find a candidate. We conducted the elections in 2 phases, once in 2018 and subsequently in 2020. Even in 2020, things were still tough.
Yeah.
It had eased, the situation had improved marginally. And everyone would require security, and post-elections, the challenge used to be, how do you provide them security? Cluster security used to be organized, hostels and camps, and then vehicles to take them out. It was a self-defeating exercise because Panchayati Raj elections were held primarily to have connections with the people. So the politicians, the grassroots politicians, being taken out from their ecosystem and put in hotels or in cluster security and then taking. So the challenge was truly humongous. Today, as we stand in 2023, November is about to begin, we are in a situation where people are crying out for elections. And I can assure you, we are equally pleasantly surprised that people would like to participate in elections for every single position, be it urban local bodies or Panchayati Raj elections, or for that matter, MLA elections. There is a sea change in terms of eagerness to vote and compete also for electoral positions, or
So that itself societally reflects a mindset change, or perhaps a certain sense of security that they can step out and do it.
Yes. Actually, to what extent a common Kashmiri or the opinion makers of Kashmir have understood that electoral democracy finally matters in a democracy, and therefore it must be resorted to in full spirit, is something which you can debate. But mind you, even if there was an urge, a large number of people felt that it should be this way. The fear of the lurking fear of the Pakistani gun and their goons and their proxies, every nook and corner, some with gun and some without gun, that fear was palpable. Today, that fear has subsided. I wouldn't say that it has completely vanished or evaporated, but certainly it has come down to a level where it is visible in terms of the desire of the people to participate in normal life. One is politics.
So have you also seen a positive change as far as the human aspect of it when it comes to cracking down on terror within?
Again, another very interesting and question which we in the security establishment and in the larger security community, we keep debating between ourselves. I'm sure you would have heard that the security infrastructure used to rely heavily on the technical intelligence to do its operations. as I speak to you, Anand, I can assure you that the first sprouts of what I call green and clean intelligence, meaning we do not have to have technical intelligence, we do not have to have the man within. It is the common man who is now willing to share his information. We need to tap into it. There are the first signs of the common man saying that we endorse the way you are moving ahead is when they refuse to heed to the calls of Bandh and Hartals being floated from Pakistan. You see, initially there used to be a little bit of, we were criticized that we used force to, force open
the shops.
Today it is the other way around.
कि दुकान बंद नहीं कराना.
नहीं बंद कराना है और वहाँ से अगर कल आता भी है तो it goes unheeded. We don't have to do anything. I mean, people have forgotten the calendar. So surely the calendar, making of the calendar, enforcing the calendar, there was an infrastructure, hidden infrastructure of proxies, the bullies. They were doing it. A vast majority of law-abiding citizens who would like to live life ordinarily had no way. But they were looking for true governance to really, kind of communicate. आप करो तो सही, आप अगर हुकूमत करना चाहे, आप ही के हाथ में है, आप हमें पीस दे दें, फिर हम करेंगे. So, that you kind of, critical mass, or जैसे कहते हैं, so that critical minimum level of push from the government side, the Awam was there. They were there. We endorse it.
So let me ask you, a fly on the wall once told me that nobody wanted to keep the shop shut, but nobody wanted to be the one to keep it open. So did they come and tell you, sir, एक ताला तोड़ दीजिए, बाकी हम खोल देंगे?
Several times, Anand. The true story is that the large number of common citizens from all walks of life, be it the shopkeeper, the trade, the commerce, the industry, be it the schools, the colleges, the universities, be it the bar associations in the Srinagar city or in the districts, be it the masjids and imams and khatibs, every sector of the society had always indicated the आवाज में कि साहब normal life ला दो. You can't have a system where some people profit and ask youngsters, teenagers, जिनकी मूछ दाढ़ी भी ढंग से नहीं आती है, तो उनको मरने के लिए तैयार कर देते हैं. And they send their children to Delhi, Dubai and London to study. So ये duplicity और ये खत्म करो. हाँ. But the last common man is helpless. He was looking at the Indian state, as I always say, that it is for you to take out that bold step. And you can't ask the last common man to display his loyalty when we ourselves have not ended the duality. In a decisive manner. And having ended it, let's ask him. He has already endorsed. He has already endorsed.
So let me ask you, sir. There is this whole narrative. Now, this is another important aspect of owning the narrative and controlling the narrative. So, always we've seen the wrong side has always controlled the narrative. How has that changed? Have we been able to wrest the narrative back and set it right? Especially at the ground level.
Again, this is an area where I am so uncomfortable because this is a battle where we have fared very poorly. And I have no qualms in saying that the adversary has run away with a success and they would score several times better than us. And the more unfortunate part of it is we were being held guilty of the crime which we never committed. And we were being painted as to be doing no good when actually so much good was happening or was with the intent of making it happen was there. I'll cite 2-3 examples. Let's say, plain and simple. we have a budget of about 1,15,000 crores. Now this budget, this public money, when it comes, partly generated from here, partly from the rest of the India's, the way the grants and the budgetary support that comes, it doesn't come in color. It comes for the common man. Everyone here, every scheme. So it comes for the schools, it comes for the roads, and contrarily the adversary spends not even 1,000th of it. School यहीं चलाते हैं, Indian state चलाता है through the local government, colleges, सड़क, अस्पताल, बिजली, पानी. So if the entire governance comes from, and that governance is run locally, and how is it that the Indian state can be painted? You can always have a quarrel. You can always have quarrel with political ideologies and parties. That is democracy, political competition. You even can quarrel with Delhi. I have always thought it that way. But where is the occasion for quarreling with the Indian state? हिंदुस्तान के साथ आपका झगड़ा कैसे हो सकता है? माने मतलब आप एक occasion दिखाइए ना कि कैसे हो सकता है उसके साथ. वो वाला जो झगड़ा है वो purely manufactured है. वो purely, it is subtly it's like it's a deviously manufactured thing which has been imposed. Because yes, you can of course keep saying that electoral theory etc. are aberrations. I wouldn't go into those tricky areas. Often my as a man in a law enforcement officer at a senior level, I do straddle sometimes between the political context in which I'll have to deliver the services. To that extent, I have I need to have a political understanding of the context. But tell me that if it is the elections, if it is locally people elect and it is our own people who are made to sit here, they have been empowered to spend the money, they have been empowered to govern, and how is it that we can quarrel with the Indian state? So therefore, the narrative part of it, that no good can happen as long as it's part of India, no good should happen as long as part of India. That is the kind of narrative which the enemy was able to enforce, partly on the basis of the fear of the gun. A journalist, often we are accused that the journalists here are not free. When Lhasa Cole is killed, or Sujat Bukhari is shot dead, and they maintain ledger sheets of loyalty from across through their proxies. यहाँ पे लोग बैठ के ना हिसाब देते हैं, जनाब आज इसने इतना लिखा, आपके हक में जो है अभी सुई जो है वो 50 से इधर को चला गया, 60 चला गया है हिंदुस्तान के खिलाफ, तो वो वहां से हुक्म आता है, कर दो. So who is under the threat? Or who is under the fear? Tell me one occasion in which a journalist has been put to death at the instance of the Indian state. At the most, you would have said that, well, you please do not, I mean, the rule of law or the framework, the reasonable restrictions of, when the freedom of expression is being exercised and you deviate and go into the domain of incitement and encouragement and advocacy of an ideology, which is certain. Yes. So, distinguish it from criticism of, I think it is people are free, people here are even can have abused the highest office in the, but that's how it is. This is the democracy. You do that with the president of the Bar Association if he is a secessionist. You will have bullets. People have had bullets in their head.
So that rule of the gun is one aspect. My final two questions, sir, I know time is of essence. One is, how much of co-religiosity and an ideological thought continuum, how much is that manifest on ground? And does that score above national loyalties?
Well, it's a fact, as I said a little while ago, that if over a period of 3 decades, or even more, if you go backwards, But 3 decades is a period in which gun came in.
Yeah.
Prior to that, strands of separatism, soft separatism, and making it as a kind of a vehicle to mobilize yourself electorally or politically was there. And that is actually the scourge. But if you make a distinction between the 1990, pre-1990 and post-1990, the gun came in, the violence came in, the proxies of the adversary, neighboring hostile country came in. So the core religion वाला जो इशू है उसको एक कलर दिया गया. मैं आपको एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूं. शोपियन में 2009 में एक एक्सीडेंटल डेथ ड्यू टू ड्राउनिंग हो जाती है 2 यंग लेडीज की, आसिया और नीलोफर. तुरंत उसके बाद तूफान खड़ा हो जाता है.
करेक्ट.
इसको कहा जाता है कि ये दिस वाज ए मास रेप एंड इट वाज द सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस, समटाइम्स आर्मी, समटाइम्स पुलिस. The district superintendent of police himself was thrown behind the bars along with several other policemen for having destroyed or dissipated or, kind of damaged evidence. Contrary to it, the real truth that emerged finally, beyond any shade of doubt.
The evidence came contrary to what was actually happening.
Absolutely in an incontrovertible manner, in absolutely no denying the fact. It's an open and shut case. Anywhere you take the case to be tried, anywhere in the world, I will say it with certain amount of authority because I've seen the evidence myself. The evidence was fudged to the extent of the body fluids being changed. And people were threatened that if they do not give false evidence, they would be put to harm. And the entire system actually collapsed in not being able to stand by the truth. So the narrative part of it and the core religion aspect of it all was pushed by a kind of an infrastructure, well-oiled, and a large part of it funded by the Indian state. And so you have what we have. But otherwise, I have clear understanding that there are almost, I would say almost 20 times more Muslims staying in the rest of the country as our friends and citizens staying here. There are challenges. We are a multi-religion, multi-cultural, plural society. But the man still understands here that the Indian state, governed by constitutional law, does have a chance and a scope and fair play for me. And the machinery which says that it doesn't is funded, guided from across. They would go beyond the routine to create a narrative on utter falsehood to be able to, and they have been able to successfully do it. And you see that there is actual banhumi. You would see that people would go from here, and in Jammu they would say, hey, how are you breaking us apart, and where is it coming from? We trade between ourselves, we exchange between ourselves, so it happens this way, and how are you? So selectively you are invoking certain aspects of religion, certain aspect of religion. The selective cherry picking of the truth of the Indian social, political, economic reality. Wajabi Kashmir, they have been successful.
And we need to sort it out.
And that's where actually we have failed.
So my final question is to the cadre, the team, those who are part of Jammu and Kashmir police. For a long time, they have not just been unsung heroes, they have copped a lot of flack in society, ostracized for doing their duty, for donning the uniform, vilified, targeted, threatened. So much has happened. Not often do we speak about them. Has life changed for them? Is there now respect in the eyes of the people, the very people who would shun them in the past?
a question which is so dear to my heart. When I came back from Central Deputation after a decade and a half of service with the Government of India, the first question that I asked was perhaps the question which you raised. I got this answer yesterday only. A young DSP, he is posted in the downtown. So he said, he rang up, he said, sir, he was a little while ago serving with me in the special investigating unit. He said, sir, you recall in one of my investigation, I felt so nervous that I took my family, my wife and my children and hid myself for 2 days in a houseboat to have 2 nights of sleep. This is 2020, 2021. Today he said, sir, I'm happy that in a normal vehicle, I can take my family, move around, you know. So surely it is connected with the first question that you posed.
Yeah.
His acceptability in the society also has increased because, you see, again, people had projected J for Jalad. You know. So the man in the village, the Jamaat-e-Islami fellow, who is the institutional memory of terrorism and separatism in J&K, that man, 1 or 2 in the villages, he is remembering and identifying the policeman. This fellow need to be sorted out. So he hides in the police station. He sleeps somewhere. He stays in ghettos in, in the relative security of towns, and he doesn't go to his village. And when he goes, he has to act extra, sort of if he goes to the masjid, he would donate extra to kind of, So that situation which had been created by the proxies of Pakistan sitting at different locations, the bullies of, the bullies of intimidation, the terror, the bullies involved in recruitment, the bullies who would keep a tab on people who would not like to buy the Pakistani line or the adverse line. They were the ones who were keeping tab. That fellow, घर पे आया हुआ है, इसका कुछ करो. खाली डरा दो, तो मरने का खतरा और रोज मरने का जो खतरा है और एक्चुअली मर जाने में बड़ा फर्क है. I think the policemen, we have about 90,000 of regular policemen all spread. They have had the toughest of the times because, you see, for many of the things which was happening in the society, they were only the responders to contain it from precipitating into a kind of a volcano. You would find the entire law and order situation in J&K. Since 1990, even at the height of militancy and terrorism, पथराव होता था, पथराव को रोकना, पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी को जलने नहीं देना, आर्सन को करके रखना और लिमिटेड फोर्स यूज करके उसको फिर because the other side always wanted that the cycle of violence मरना चाहिए. हाँ, the civilians or the common man should die, So, but the policeman always exercise restraint, proportionate force, लाठी से काम चलाना, tear gas पे चलाना. 3 decades में he has maintained order on the streets to the extent possible, and for reasons and situations which was never of his making. And then from within that, there are groups, the SOG, the fabled SOG groups. They have put their lives at the forefront on the crosshairs of the enemy. They have fought, and today as I speak, there are about 6,500 deaths, martyrdom, which has been attended by security force personnel, including all forces, army, paramilitary, and the J&K police. We have the pride, and we have the satisfaction of, the highest martyrdom. Our sufferance is to the tune of more than 60%. Roughly, if I can, off the cuff, if I can remember, the figure is something like 3,800 deaths.
Of the J&K police?
J&K police alone. So people, when they start quarreling, the other day, they said that how is it that the J&K police takes away so much of gallantry medals, President's police gallantry medals? So obviously this is the force which, while from within the societies, living in the same, ecosystem in which an average common man is fighting, from that very society, he has emerged and has decided to act like guardian angels, as they say, under constraints. Well, could they have done better? Can they do better? Is a question which anyone, it is easy with hindsight to, pose those questions. But because I have seen, because I came to the state in the early 90s, I have seen how things were bad. It is easy to, be critical. The fact of the matter is, it's a shining example of local police from amongst the community, son of the soil, but picking up the national unity agenda, national security agenda, forefront. No comforts of a cantonment, no comforts of what you call a group center of a paramilitary force, living within the water, amongst the crocodile, and yet fighting. Which force will do it?
Well, it is certainly the J&K police that is doing it right now. Sir, congratulations once again and wonderful talking to you. Let's hope this is a start of many more conversations in the near future and positive ones at that. Thank you very, very much, sir.
Thank you, Anand. It was a pleasure talking
Thank
to
you,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.